Zelda. Dun, dun. San, sarararan. Hola community, welcome to another episode of Blender.Today live streaming directly from Blender HQ with big news today. In terms of announcements, I think this is the biggest, but also the biggest feature to one of the latest bigger features to be added to Blender 3.0. Remember, 3.1 is already under development. 3.0 it's already in beta, so this one is sneaked in, but with a very, very good reason. It has been being worked on for a long while, so it's not like it just was done last minute. This has been around worked on for ages. And let's just go to it. Let's just go to the blog post on code.blender.org. You can already read it. It's posted by Ton, but it's actually written by Brian Savory from NVIDIA, from AMD. Wow, what a bad from AMD. I had something in mind. Blender 3.0 takes support for AMD GPUs to the next level with improved AMD GPU rendering support in cycles. Beta available now. If you go to the bottom, you can read more about the beta. But if you read here, yes, it's here. It's available. You need to download the drivers plus Blender 3.0 beta. The 3.0 beta actually has been, this patch has been in master for a few days already, I think 5 days or so. So if you have the latest, you should be fine. But remember to download the AMD, the Radeon software beta. Yes. Yes. Oops, people. I know. That's what reading the chat does to you. So the graphics cards that are supported, the ones that are listed here is the 6000 series, but actually there has been some tests already. So with 5000 series as well, and there are even some numbers that Thomas Dinges did, and the community also has been doing already. And this test, I think it was done with a 5500 XT with 8 gigs of memory, and the beta from a few days ago, so it's not even the latest. And you can see the numbers. Look at that. Barbershop interior, 7 minutes to 93, 3 minutes with 3.0. Of course, Cycles X has a big one, a big say, but also the fact that now it's actually making use of the GPU. It's like half the time, most of the time. So let's see. Oh, it's 154, 1 minute, 355, 2 minutes. So it's not always half of the time, but most of the time it is. Coral, like this one. This one is the one that, this one has hair, lots of transparent hair. 433, 215. Isn't that great? Okay, how about older series? I'm reading here the chat. The previous series, the 500 or whatever is the previous versions, they're gonna be added over time. The in the blog post you can read, but also in the commit logs they say that they want to add more compatibility backwards. So start with the latest and then go back and keep adding as much as possible. So if you go to in the wiki, the Blender wiki, there is the release notes page for 3.0, and then you can read cycles. There's the details for NVIDIA, and here for AMD, and for Linux support, because this is only on Windows so far. For Linux support, they are gonna investigate it, and for 3.1, together with previous graphics cards versions. Isn't that exciting? How about Apple? Yeah, people have been asking about that as well. So this is only for Windows, but last week there was also a change in made by people from Apple that continue working on the metal support for cycles, and this is the second item in this task that add support for Cycles Metal device. So the first one was added. Remember, time ago we celebrated. Yay, they're working on it. Well, now they did the second one. So hey, it's getting there. Look at all the excitement in the sidebar. This is for post 3.0, so 3.1 or further, with AMD working for 3.1 as well with the previous graphics cards and Linux support. 3.x seems to be a pretty exciting. Now I'm working on the 3.0 release notes page, and it's all mostly it's performance, like from edit mesh to cycles to saving and loading blend files. It's just crazy. Like even they keep adding, even for like even the UI has gotten some updates for performance. So okay, that's it for AMD Cycles. Please go test it. Give your feedback. There is a comment section here where you can leave your questions if you have any specifics about this change in particular. But otherwise, just it isn't master. So if you have any issues, just report them as a bug report. Okay. Features that are not tied to any graphics manufacturer. These are just Cycles feature. This one that made it this week, it's exposing a feature that Cycles already has, which allows you to render a different chunk of samples in your render. So you know how you render usually. You go start with sample 1, 2, and 3, and 4, just linearly. The patch exposes a feature in Cycles that allows you to offset. So if you're rendering in parallel, for example, you can have one computer render sample 0 to 1000, and then the other computer to render from 1001 to 2000, for example, and then you just merge them. So it's yeah, super nice, super exciting. For rendering, for render farms, probably gonna come pretty handy, but it's good to have it also for your own regular renders. It's like another addition to the overwrite and placeholder setting for your mini farms. All right, first time catching the live, Douglas, welcome. Let's see. That's it for today. Is gonna be pretty short, by the way. If you have some questions, go to Blender.Today, Blender community, and write in the blog post by Leo Depois, which is a SpriteFright member. Has everybody that contributed to SpriteFright gotten the badge already? Let's see. Okay, changing topics immediately to geometry nodes. Let's talk about geometry nodes. There's like two things in geometry nodes. Remember, we are in that time of the year where development focuses more on improving on fixing. So there's a bunch of bug fixes that are not mentioned, but just rest assured that there are fixes going on. There's still some patches by the community, like this one from Johnny Matthews, which has added a selection output to the star primitive. So allows you to control the outer points, the ones that are in the corners of the star. So you can do things like that. You can get the points, and then you can have a fillet curve to make it more like a cog. So pretty nice. Danish in the user Danish said, I use Blender 12 hours a day. That is that's not safe. Please do not do that, or rest, or get a pen and switch pen and stand up, and yes, do not do it. Gonna get tired. You have to continue doing this for years. Okay, the next improvement also in geometry nodes is a new vector field in the curve handle position node to allow you to offset the position. So it's just yeah, you get to see it. Yes, there is a new field /data. As you can see, it has a little dot in it. So a single value plus field that allows you to connect a vector to offset it offset each one of them. Okay. let's continue. I think that's it with the geometry nodes. Yeah, for once, geometry nodes doesn't have a wall of features, but there is one in the nodes editor. So kind of related in when you're using the Nishita Sky texture with Eevee. No, there's no support for it yet, but now it's gonna tell you that there is a there's no support yet. So hey, a message, UI improvements. It's it's always welcome. Speaking of UI, let's continue. Let's move topics into the UI. I told you this today was gonna go super fast. The do you use the View Pie menu? The view, you know, when you are in Blender, the tilde key or whatever you have it mapped to has this menu that allows you to go View Selected, View Camera. I use this all the time for well, because I have a keyboard that it doesn't have that is 75%, so it doesn't have the numpad, and also because I have the tilde or whatever I have mapped on the left side, so I can do very quickly go and change views without having to press like middle mouse button or anything, or leave the mouse to use leave the precious mouse to use the numpad. So I love this, and I noticed it was missing in other editors. So it's now available in other editors. Even if you're in the node editor, for example, and you're somewhere away and you want to go there, you can just do the same shortcut, and then to the right side is going to be frame selected, and frame all, or like the home key would be on the left side, and this applies everywhere, even in the outliner. So even if you're like somewhere far from your selection, you can do the shortcut and it's gonna take you there. Same well, whatever it makes sense, actually, even in the in like here in keyframes, so in the dope sheet editor. So if you're out of view, you do the same movement, same position, and it should match in every place, in every editor. It should match that. If you go down, you're gonna go to the current frame. So I have a smooth view. Oh, and another one, while working on this feature, notice the video editing workspace didn't have a, well, that's me doing a test right now. Very nice. Okay. I noticed that the view selected is not exposed here. This has to be exposed, but the operator existed there somewhere. So it's now it's now part of the pie menu. So if you do the pie, it's gonna go there, even smooth. So super cool. Yeah, very, very, very simple. And there is also another feature that is called zoom 1-to-1. This again, if you don't have a numpad, or if you don't use emulate numpad, you can reset the view to 1% to 100%. The same with the UV image editor. So if you have an image, you can also do, again, the same shortcut. You do the pie menu, to frame selected, pie menu down for the cursor, which is a similar concept as the current frame, and then you go up and you see 100% zoom. If you go to the left side, you go like pressing home. So yeah, this has been added even in the clip editor. So I hope you like pie menus. How do you bring this pie menu? With the tilde key, or like the same key that you use it here. So in Spanish, I think is the ñ. I don't know what it's this key. So if you go to the key map, this one. How do you call that? It's an accent, but it's on the other side. You can remap it to anything you want. In some keyboards, like in the keyboard that I have, well, I cannot show you, but in the Apple keyboard, it's on the bottom, and in the US layout, it's in the bottom next to Shift, and in the keyboard that I have at home is a Keychron key K3 or something. Yeah, it's up here, and it's super handy. So much more handy than having it down here because it's next to escape, so it's like super nice. That's it. That is it. Okay, what else in UI? Armature, make clear and parent. Did you ever notice that when you're making a parent or clearing a parent in the menu, all the options are always available, even those that don't do anything, even those that were not really like it will show you bone parenting options that if you probably didn't even have a bone or a parent in that bone. So now Demeter made it nicer. Now clear parent and make parent show the options grayed out if there is, or when they make sense, or not when they make sense. And another fix also by Demeter was to, well, a fix, an improvement was the unlink action operator didn't have an undo step, so you couldn't like control set your way back. Now you can. Such a small thing. It's just look, it's just one line. Those little things that make life better, such as seeing your instances nicely in the viewport. So this commit removes the different outline color for instances. So if you're working with geometry nodes, you're probably using a load of instancing, well, particles too, and the outlines for the instances had a different color than the actual object, and that doesn't always help. It hurts readability. So in this commit, yeah, they no longer have a different color. Then what else? Speaking of color, now this doesn't have anything to do. In the text editor, there is a new feature in the text editor. How often do I get to say that? In the text editor, so for example in scripting, when you type something like brackets or round brackets or parentheses, however you call it, I think /2, it's gonna it's gonna make the closing one too, like it's gonna automatically close it as well. However, as you can see, it's not here yet because it's a user preference that it's in editing, in text editor, and it's called auto close. I wouldn't mind to have this on by default even, I think, because I mean, how often would you want to add a bracket and not having it close? The same with quotes. I think it's pretty handy. So, and it's a user preference. So if you don't want to close it, you can just do it from the user preferences. Let's see. Say Demeter to make a second stream soon, please. Okay, I will pass the message if you're not familiar with that. In the Blender Studio YouTube channel, the guys are making live streams, and the last one by 4 days ago was by Demeter. Before that, Simon was doing some, but then he has to stop, and now we have Demeter. So the guys are super busy making content for the studio, like making of their recording interviews even. So they even this morning they had a meeting, a massive meeting, everybody in the kitchen, in the canteen, to talk about the making of video. So yeah, exciting things coming up. Maybe they posted something today or not. I think their plan is to post pretty much every day something new. What else? Speaking of text, the font sizes now allow you to go into decimal numbers. So it's no longer integers. It's not like 10, 11, 15. You can do 10.1, 0.2, 0.3. So that gives you a lot more room for tweaking the size however you prefer it. This works especially well in other languages that maybe use more like symbolic fonts instead of the Latin glyphs. Okay. And that is it. No, wait. No, let's this is okay, potpourri section. I think the entire episode today is on potpourri section because there is a bit of everything, such as Alembic. So, do you remember that in 3.0, Alembic got support for exporting animated UV maps? I know that because I'm making the release notes page and I just remember about it. Well, now it also supports animated vertex colors data to export. So yay. Next, the setting for flipping names in Blender has been it's now exposed to the Python API. So you can use PPY utils flip name and then just flip it. So instead of there are some add-ons that re-implement name flipping. Not anymore. There is a utility for this. The PPY utility. And last but not least, again, Demeter is like the star of the show today. Was adding this feature and then this other feature. He or maybe he convinced people to commit this stuff for him. The copy attributes add-on. It's now and now allows you to copy custom attributes from the active to selected bones or the active to selected objects. So for both entities. Yeah, custom properties. Copyable. Copy. Custom copyable. All right. Let's wrap it up. No, let's see. Whoa, 5:30. It's the first time I end so early. So okay, let's go through the questions quickly. There is 11 comments, and let's see how it goes. Just so I can read it better, or maybe I can just put it on the other sides here. So okay, let's see. I'm gonna just put it here. First question, USB 10 says, hi Pablo, I am a user from India using Windows 10. I'm seeing from a couple of days that the Blender version in Microsoft Store is still 2.93.105. Is this the latest version? I think that the latest version should be something like 293.6. Well, if you go to Blender.org, you see, if you download Blender, you see that the last one is 293.5. That is the latest one. So actually, the version in the Windows Store that you see, it's correct. The Windows Store uses 105, but that's just an issue that there was when deploying the version for the store. You can't re-upload things of the same version. So one went wrong, so they added the 10 at the beginning. But the number that you care about is the 5, which is the 0.5, which is the latest. 2.93.6 is gonna come soon, but it's not out yet. It's not official. The 2.83 version LTS is as well, and the 293 LTS is in there. Well, because 293 is the current one, is the latest Blender, the official Blender. Even though we talk about 3.0, 3.1, the latest official Blender stable is 293. So when 3.0 comes out in December, the 2.93 will be renamed to 2.93 LTS, and then there will be 283 LTS, and there will be 3.0. So not confusing at all. But I received a message the other day on Instagram someone asking if the fixes that happened in 3.1 were ported to 3.0. So which one will be more stable? And the answer is that, well, all of them. As long as 3.1 doesn't get a bug that it's only in 3.1, then it makes sense to keep it only there. But if there is a bug that has been fixed that it occurs in 3.1, 3.0, even in 2.93 or even in 2.83, it will be fixed because 2.93 and 83 are both long-term support releases, and they are gonna get continued support. I think 283 ends in April-ish, I think. Don't remember. But oh, we can check actually the Blender website. I usually go to the release notes pages and I see 283 June. All right, so until 3 of June, 2.83 is going to continue getting of 2022. It's going to get bug fixes. Then until 2023, 293 is going to get bug fixes. Let's see. What else? Next question. This strange post has been marked in development by mistake. What is it? What? Huh. This is under development. Interesting. There is a comment. Let's see, it's just a spam. I don't know how to use this, so I use this picture. Huh. Well, I will take care of it. Thank you for that. For it. I'm working on it, so however, some interest and help from the foundation will be desired. One-man band forever. Oh, on the real-time GPU smoke simulation. Hey, it's good to hear that. So thank you, Mikhail. Next question by Borsberry. Hi, Pablo. What news about new solvers for particles, volume, fabric? Is it worth waiting? And if so, how do you mean worth waiting? It is always worth waiting. How soon can they appear? It is especially interesting how soon they may appear in the form of nodes. Well, there is still the discussion about what to do after geometry nodes. Of course, geometry nodes is not going to stop being developed, but the main developers, like now that the community are doing so many contributions with like individual nodes or adding functionality to existing nodes, the core developers, the ones that designed the entire geometry node system, like Jack, Hans, Dalai, they can focus maybe on designing the next part of this everything nodes project, and of course continue reviewing other nodes and contributions by the community. But what is the next big thing? That has to be defined yet, but there's many options as you can read in the code blog 3.x roadmap by Ton. You can see that there's many ideas out there. There is physics, there is interactivity, maybe the interactive mode. Yeah, there is plenty available, everything nodes. So that has to be defined still. It's been a busy year. 3.0 is taking, it's gonna be pretty epic, I think. So yeah, of course, if particles, remember the particle system in Blender is end of life. It's been marked as end of life since 2.8 already. So it's a good candidate. Or hair, but it's also tied with it. Particles, hair. So yeah. Let's see. Hi Pablo, there's little news about USD updates. Is the development ongoing? What about NVIDIA work on USD? Is it possible to export a geometry node, scatter instances to USD? What do you mean? USD in 3.0, USD... where is it? I've been reading about it actually. USD is part of the pipeline asset IO. It's here, it's in the commit, and it's not in the wiki, but it's even documentation about importing USD import, which was the feature that was added for 3.0. So I don't know of active development who is working on that at the moment, but the last things that happened, it was not too long ago. Hi Pablo, I would like to ask you about this too. G nodes, that's how we're calling it. G pencil, G node. Currently clears the mesh data like UVs, vertex colors, vertex groups during realize. This makes geometry nodes useless for many people who need all this data to be presented in the resulted mesh, preserved in the resulted mesh. For example, when exporting it to other tools like a game engine. There's already a task with 40 subscribers regarding this issue, but so far no relevant reaction from developers. Only tips for partial workarounds, like getting UVs from attributes in a shader, but it's not really a solution. Do you also think this is an important issue to be solved? Can you please talk with some developer regarding that? Well, I bet there are developers reading this, and as you can see, it's clearly known by the developers that this issue has to be fixed. I don't know exactly how it's gonna be fixed, and I think it's also important. I believe it's important, especially when working with other softwares. I don't know though how to tackle this, and I think, and you probably can see from all the work the developers have done, that it may not be easy task. Otherwise, it would have been tackled already. They've done so much. When is this from? It's from February 2021. The whole system was the attribute system was different. February was when the first version of geometry nodes came out in 292. So yes. It's important that you mentioned though. Let's see. Vertex and weight paint is very slow with higher poly meshes. Comparison with 2.79 and 1 mesh. Sculpt paint seems to be an alternative, but as it works smoothly only in solid shading, it's pretty useless for any serious work. I think such basic features like vertex paint should be really flawless, and Sculpt Paint shows the potential for significant improvements in this area. Can we expect some soon? Yes, as you can read again in the blog post, there is here the painting workflow. There is a mention that is without a doubt, not only now but since a while, this conversation about improving painting in general in Blender, and not just for like sculpt vertex colors, the work that Pablo Eduardo started time ago, but attribute painting in general. So yes, you can expect new improvements in this area during the 3.x series. Let's see. Hi Pablo, great Monday to you. When working with multiple scenes, it's hard to quickly switch the scene setting. Run a quick preview by set the render resolution, sample bounces file output, film setting, and then jump to a final or even a mid-level render preview requires a lot of clicking. There should be a quicker way to set all those options. There are presets. Although for scene, I don't think they are. They are for render settings. If you want to tweak the render settings, yes, but not for everything actually, and cycles only. If you're talking about other, it's actually not available everywhere. It would be cool to have like a global, because these are just Python files that store the settings that are in this panel, but they could contain anything. I think there was an add-on that came included with Blender to copy from one scene to the other. Not sure. Also about scenes, now when I duplicate a scene with the link scene option, there is no way to unlink an object shared by the two scenes. The make single user command doesn't work anymore. Even delete an object from a link duplicate scene caused the object to be deleted from both. What happened? Well, if it doesn't work anymore, that is a bug. Make single user should continue to work. But you duplicate a scene with this link scene option. So I have this, and then I duplicate with linked copy. Scene calls the object, and then the make single user. So this one is the same object. It's not doing it. Linked copy. The object is not linked. Well, I didn't even get that far to... Am I drunk or the material is not... Yeah. Everything is linked. Shouldn't it say 2 users because it's 2 different scenes using the same? Please tell me if I'm doing anything wrong, people. Linked copy. Let's see the link in the collections from the current scene. Will you save it? But it doesn't need to be saved. If I make a new scene, like let's make a new scene and let's use the world from another place. Okay, 3 users. And now the world has 3 users. But the materials don't. Interesting. All right. Let's see. And last, if I have an object hide in render but visible in the viewport, when I preview the render in the viewport, I see that object. In Blender 279, there was a button to sync that state while rendering in the viewport to see that just the result as it will come out. Will it come back? I think it would be handy to come back. I don't know how hard would that be in terms of like the dependency graph and stuff. Yeah. I think it would be handy. You mean the only render setting? Yeah. Yeah, you have to remove it all from the view. It's tricky though because it's render view. Should it follow everything? Maybe a new setting here that says show only render. Let's see. Next, Mikal says, "Hey Pablo, are there any info about MantaFlow GPU or anything related with faster simulations?" Not that I know. I haven't read anything by Sebas in a while. Hey Pablo, are Crescent extensions for making the next gen movie? What is a Crescent extension? What? Christening? No, I don't want any. For making the next gen movie. I don't understand your question, sorry. Erindale, you're in the chat. Not so much a question, but just wanting to raise more awareness for November. It would be great to see more people jumping in and pushing the tools. It's a good excuse to see what geometry nodes can do and find some bugs. More info here. If people are interested, the best place to find inspiration is hashtag November on Twitter or Instagram. I haven't been much on Twitter, but I think this website could use a wall of, I think you can, with the API, with the Twitter and Instagram API, you can pull hashtag November. Would be good to have like more artwork. I don't know if you're connected with this, but otherwise just go to Twitter and just search for hashtag November. But yeah, here, I think with the API, we did it for the Blender conference website, so you should be able to do it. To just get the best you can limit for like an amount of stars or hearts in the commits, and yeah, it would be great to have a bit more artwork there just to inspire others, such as the one by Erindale. I don't know if you've seen it already, people, but yeah, it's just insane. Well, you can already see the tree, but everything in here is geometry nodes. Starting from a Suzanne. That is beyond crazy. I don't even know how. I mean, it runs fairly fast, you can see, but it is really pushing. Like, where's the limits, though? Just crazy. The next question by Peter Barnes says, "Hi Pablo, what's happening with merging Summer of Code nodes into master, like extrude and solidify?" That was by were by Fabian, and I think it's a bit short on time lately for the reviews. I haven't followed exactly what happened, but I remember that at some point he has he was shorter on time than usual. Delta. Hello, Pablo. A few quick questions. Some of them from the last week, a few weeks now. Yes, sorry. 2 weeks ago or so, I had so many things to show in the show that I didn't had time to go through the questions. I even forgot. When I pressed the stop button, I remember. So sorry about that. Okay, so recently I came across this shirt in image only. Yes, this one. Delete cube. Blender. This is a bit illegal to do the logo like that. But it reminds me of the old Blender t-shirts from the streetwear that we're making in the 2X. I think it looks really nice, and I would love to buy some stylish Blender gear. The current wear is a bit boring. Let's say it could be better. Is there any place where such ideas are collected, or maybe even voted on to see if the design could even be sold? I don't know. There is there's definitely not a place. Let's see. I think the likes in the already show that people might want it. The maybe right click select could be a place for gear. We have a category here like Blender store. No, I don't know. The design, it's fun. I think I don't know if I would wear it, but it's something that I know a lot of people like this style. So should investigate. In terms of where to post it, I think Twitter it's a good place. Ton says I think you've seen it, this one, and we started the discussion about renewing the design of the t-shirts. We're actually adding more products by the end of this year, by December and early January. There will be the Eat, Sleep, Blend, Repeat t-shirt that you probably have seen it sometimes, that I've been wearing, that has never been on the store. It was only a SIGGRAPH product. We in one of the SIGGRAPHs, I don't remember which one, like 5-6 years ago, we made these t-shirts, Eat, Sleep, Blend, Repeat, and it was super fun. So many people liked it, so we decided to reprint them, actually starting now in a matter of weeks. We sent it today, so it's gonna take a while. The other t-shirts, it's the monster, the noodle monster, that also is gonna come back. The skater is also gonna come back, the animation one, and we're thinking of making one also with the style of the Blender animation t-shirt. I don't know if it's gonna find it. It was animator, skater. Yeah, this one. So one with the skater, the skating in the curves. There is one with the noodle monster, that is now more relevant than ever. And there will be one with sculpting, maybe. That's the plan. That is being designed at the moment by the artist. Last time you noticed a Code Quest patch. To be honest, I was just in for the t-shirt and the Rocket USB stick. That's a much nicer way to support Blender with money, in my opinion. Regarding donations, was it or will there be a focus on making donations to Blender tax deductible? I think in my country there could be a sneaky way around a fuzzy. Not really, but it will be in the line of education for adults, and you would need the Ministry of Finance to play along. No idea. I think this is something maybe you can get in. You just write to, just write to Ton or to the foundation, because it's about donations, and donations are handled by the foundation. I'm reading the comments about merchandise. Yeah, you need merchandise. I still want my new pens. Please send cash for post. Have you tried AMD GPU support? I haven't yet. Is it the same as NVIDIA in terms of capabilities? Well, it uses HIP, which it's like a layer that talks to CUDA. So whatever is supported by CUDA should be mostly should be, at least from what I understand, by AMD as well. Is a discussion regarding Blender versioning still alive? In the past, I heard some people write about the new versioning of Blender, and they kind of wish it would not advance with 3.0, 1, 2. To be honest, I also kind of like the idea that every LTS ends with something 3.3. The next LTS, I think, is 3.4. Yeah, it's not about the number 3. It's about the every fourth release. 2.83 was LTS, then 2.90, 1, 2, 3 LTS. It's the end of the series, end of the 2.9 series, end of the 2.8 series, and the LTS for 3. I think it's 3.4 and 3.7, or 3.3, 3.7, 3.3, 3.7, I think. Otherwise, it would be, yeah. But it might be 3.3. VSE Talk, Blender video sequence editor. I'm interested in the video. Well, oh gee, you did 7 questions. Okay, but this is the last comment, because I remember last week people in the chat were saying like, hey, it should be limited to one question per comment. Since we don't have more comments, I'm gonna do this, but the next time it should be 1 comment per. Just make a new comment with each question, and then people will be able to vote up and down. I'm interested in the Blender video sequence editor development. Is there any place where I can directly ask a developer? In my opinion, the sequencer has some parts that are really great and some that are really terrible. I've seen the bad parts have been done much better in other software, but I'm not sure if these parts of the sequencer are even considered problematic. Or if they're meant to be that way. So I would like to poke a developer and see what they think about certain features. You don't always need to poke a developer about that unless do you want to talk about development itself, like the code behind the Blender sequencer? Because if so, then yeah, just go to Blender coders in Blender.chat. But there is a get involved in development, get involved development, and here you can find the places where you can get in touch with chat, forum, mailing lists, module teams. If you want to talk about features, you can talk about that with just regular users from the module members, and that you can do in the wiki. You go to modules, then you go to sequencer, VFX, and video, and these are the module members. But again, like you can talk with Sebastian Koenig, Sam Kennedy, like Francesco. All of them are just maybe they have a bit more time because they're not developers, but they are involved with the development of the sequencer. And here you can find you should find a link to the Blender chat. Here you go, the workboard, projects, or Blender chat. Next question. Sprite fright, something I did not understand. Are the sprites hostile or friendly in nature? Will they went on a killing spree when they behave well in the forest, or are they like spiders in Minecraft, passive during the day and hostile during the night? You're gonna find out in the making of, but I think they are always friends of the forest, because you. Unless you do something bad, because you've seen them that they at some point they were hiding a shoe with blood. But those people, were they bad with the forest or not? Live shows and question. I wonder if there is a way to have some kind of place to put up questions for the show without watching it live. The problem is that sometimes you have no time to watch the show live. Next time Pablo doesn't get down to the question. Next time you have a guest and don't get to the comments at all. All of that piles up. Entries like this one. It would be nice to have a place to drop a question for the show, maybe with a length limit like Twitter. Also, it seems the latest comments are placed right below the comment liked most. So early birds will have a worse chance of getting their comment answered than those who posted right before you switch over to the comments. Well, but the fact that they're voted, it means if people want to, like, we should encourage people to vote for the questions that they want to get answered. But yeah, using Linux, not so serious question. You said that you use a system with PopOS for the stream in the past. Wouldn't it be much better for these streams to run on a system with Ubuntu Mate while drinking mate? It would be more fitting. I am using PopOS here, and I don't like the last update they did. It's it's PopOS 21.04, and well, there is one thing that they did. Like when you press the super key to search, you can't search. You have to do Alt Super A. That is stupid. Maybe they didn't do it. Maybe it was GNOME. But at home, I switched to Fedora for the first time in 16 years using Linux. I switched to Fedora in my work at home. So I'm pretty excited. I kind of liking it so far. I haven't. Well, it's used a GNOME, so it's not that I changed so much. I was using KDE for a bit at home, but I couldn't get used to KDE. I ended up finding myself installing GNOME apps because I was used to them. So what's the point of using KDE if you install all GNOME apps? So I went back to GNOME, but it was a cool experience. It's good to see what else is out there. But yeah, that's the cool thing about Linux. You can try a new desktop every week if you want to have fun. All right, thanks for the stream. Have a great. Sorry for the long pause. I will send you a picture of potato, but instead I will tell you stay hydrated with some peppermint tea. I have some water here and I need it. Let's see. GNOME 40 is the best DE. Well, I'm using GNOME 41 in now 41. It's awesome. It's great. It's even better than 40. Fedora, it's I can recommend so far. I had good experience because, well, I don't know. Well, maybe I also have experience with Linux itself, so I don't know if it's super friendly for new people. But other than that, it seems to have support. All the drivers that I have an NVIDIA graphics card, and it seems to be fine with the ones from the website. And I am really going off topic here, so let's wrap it up here and meet again. What do you say about next week? Next week, it's going to be the last episode of the year of Blender.Today. Yes, I am taking holidays for the month of December, and it's gonna be not so busy either, because 3.1 I think is gonna be a lot of fixing for 3.0, although 3.0 will come out while I'm away on holidays, so I think I'm gonna be I'm gonna see you in some way on the interwebs. Somehow I picked the worst timing to go on holidays, but to my defense, I actually booked it when the date was November 15th. It got delayed with a good reason. The 3.0 release is gonna blow people's minds now, especially the AMD people, NVIDIA, also the Apple in 3.1. So much good stuff ahead. So cool. If Blender was an IPO, I would throw all the stocks in there. Okay, I like Manjaro Cinnamon. You see, everybody likes different Linux. That's a cool thing about Linux. All right, cool. Time to wrap it up. Watch out your ear holes in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm gonna disappear in the shape of a music from Street Fighter Guile theme. Is it Guile or Guile? I don't know how it's in English. We used to say Guile, so okay, bye.